social media generation that are just flicking through videos over and over and over again. They want to get to the hook of the song much quicker. And then you've got Alex Warren, where he's like straight in there. It's a 2.5 minute song. It's much shorter, and he's hooking people in straight away. Even the way music is made is changing because of social media. The way in which we are consuming music now is changing. The way in which music is written is changing because of social media. You're getting in touch on this. There's loads of messages coming in. Kev the Eggman. Oh, actually, Kev the Eggman's just saying, morning, Kev the Eggman. Lovely to hear from you. Have a cracking day, he says. You too, my friend. Gaz is on. Gaz is in Clifton. Gaz says, kids should not be on TikTok. There definitely should be age-related restrictions, says Gaz in Clifton. Kathy in St Anne's is on. I was a teenager in the 60s. All of my homework was done in the reference library. It was an oak-panelled room with big, comfy armchairs, and we loved the atmosphere. We could look at all the subjects, history, geography, etc. There was no alternatives, and it made you use your brain, says Kathy in St Anne's. So we're talking about social media. They're thinking about banning social media. And in fact, there's going to be a discussion later. I should say for children, not for adults. Maybe we should ban them for adults as well. Anyway, there's going to be a discussion happening later on with young people aged between the age of 12 and 18. And they're going to be talking about a possible social media ban. You can watch this on the iPlayer. And it is something where it is a topic where governments around the world are wrestling with. So we've already mentioned Australia. They announced a ban on social media for the under-16s. It's something here in the UK, we're in the middle of a national consultation period on the topic. So this is Ash speaking with students at the Bulwell Academy.
There's a lot more things to do than there is in the UK, because you can go to the beach and have fun with your mates, but in the UK it's a lot more dangerous areas, and going out you can't really do much apart from go to a football pitch and play football.
I think they can handle it in a better way than just banning it, because it's just going to be something that's going to be like bypassed easily, because there's always going to be a way to get past, like using VPN or just setting your phone at a different location, or getting your parent to, or borrowing your phone from your parent.
I would say I understand why Australia is trying to do it, because kids, they need to go outside, they need to get fresh air. It's better to like play. Like I remember when I was like really little, I used to enjoy going to the park, but now I barely go anymore. And obviously the UK is kind of like, it's not sunny all the time. Places like Australia where they've got beaches, they can do activities there. Like the UK, there's not much to do unless you like pay for activities and stuff like that.
I think it'll just be more calmer, but we're not going to go forward as a generation. We're going to go more back, because we're not going to have ways to think of new ideas or invent things. If we're going to be stuck doing nothing, like not having a phone or anything like that, we're not really going to think of better ways to move the world into the right direction.
I feel like not having social media creates independence, because if we never grew up with it, we'd find ways to entertain ourselves. We'd find ways to go out with your friends and enjoy yourself, but you don't. And it's like, because it's there, you just rely on it and you're not making productive decisions to go and do something different.
I think I would have different interests. I think I would still be like, because I used to like to run a lot, I think I'd still be running, playing sports like basketball and something like that.
So that's some of the children at the Bulwell Academy talking about this idea of removing social media for children. Let's hear now from John McGill. John McGill is regional lead for smartphone-free childhood. So, John, I'm almost certain what you think here, bearing in mind you're from smartphone-free childhood. Morning.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, John. I'm very well. How are you? Like, what? I mean, you very clearly stand on the side of that children shouldn't have smartphones. Why?
I think for the organisation, it's a no-brainer. There have been so many parents, teachers, and medical professionals have come out highlighting the risks and the harms of a smartphone. If you think about it, in the view of a cuckoo pushing out the eggs out of a parent's nest, that is essentially what a smartphone is doing to children. It's pushing out all of the other activities that a child would normally undertake, whether they're sports or playing outdoors or taking part in homework or clubs. And the smartphone is an industry made addiction device that is harming children.
So is the issue here, you're in a very windy area, I can tell just how blustery it is today, based on what we're hearing on your phone. Is the issue here that children don't have anywhere else to go? So what you were hearing there from those young people was that there was nothing else for them to do, that all the activities that they want to do, you have to pay for, that they are feeling that actually it's not necessarily that they want to be on their phones, it's just that they don't have any other option.
I think once the phones are actually, or the social media, which is something we're talking about in terms of what's happening in Parliament today, the social media is not an issue. I think people will start to look up. I think people will start to engage in other activities. And being bored is not a negative thing. It inspires imagination. It inspires children and young adults to find other activities that actually inspire them. And I think it is slightly concerning that the smartphone has become, endemic of the problem. The smartphone has become the be-all and end-all of a child's social existence.
John, just stay there for me, and we're just going to see if we can sort out the wind, because we can't quite get it. But I'm just going to bring in Claire Clements now, who's from Positive Pants CIC, offers mental health support for children and families, is a parent of a 15-year-old as well. Claire, dare I ask, does your 15-year-old have a phone? Do they have access to social media?
Good morning. Yes, I'm afraid they do.
So
which I think would be the answer of many. It's so difficult, isn't it? And I think,
Yes.
it's very easy to say, a blanket ban, and yes, we shouldn't have these things, but we can say that about so many things in life. So I think I think as parents, we need to give ourselves a little bit of a break from all the guilt that we feel. And we need to kind of come to a level that we can work on with our child that is acceptable. And of course, their argument is going to be the complete opposite from ours. They're going to obviously want to be the same as their children. They're going to want the same apps. And it's hard to stay strong in that as a parent.
Talk to me about that then, Claire, because of course you're from an organisation which offers mental health support for children. So I am sure in your day-to-day world, you are fully aware of what kind of impact mental health phones can have. And yet you are also the parent of a 15-year-old who has access to social media. So how do you walk that tightrope? What are you bringing in where you are able to protect your child's mental health whilst also letting them have access to this thing that all of their friends have?
Yeah, I think it's being reasonable, isn't it? Because we all know there are times when we want our child, when they're younger, maybe when we're trying to do jobs as an adult, and it's easy to say, just hop on the screen for 5 minutes while I finish this. I think we have to be easy on ourselves, but we do have to put boundaries in place. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at this all the time, but that awareness of at dinner times, nobody's having their phone. And one thing we would recommend is not actually even having them next to you and face down, putting them away, because what we do is we start to pick that habit up of automatically just picking it up to look. Even if we're not going to open it, it becomes habitual. So kind of finding those gaps in the days where those phones can be out of reach is a really, really good thing. And when I go into schools and I talk to children about positivity, for example, what things do you love to do that aren't just based around your phone or, screen time or gaming or anything like that? If you ask a class of primary school children what do they love doing, they will say those things. They'll say the games. But what my job is to encourage them to think outside the box.
Yeah.
So, if we're going to think of 5 things that are positive for us, what's one thing that's a physical activity? What's one thing that's creative or a learning piece? And then you've got the kind of miscellaneous box that can come into. But it's helping your child to recognise the benefits of not being on the screen. Yeah. And, sometimes we need that pulling out of us, sadly.
Claire, thank you for that. From Positive Pants CIC is Claire Clements there. John is who's from Smartphone Free Childhood. Isn't that it, John? Isn't it about balance, about making sure that your child, your young person, has other interests outside of the phone, and then therefore it can be all balanced together?
Absolutely. I think there does need to be a balance when it comes to what they're spending their time doing. Unfortunately, we have industries that have taken part in what is essentially an addiction industry, and we are not fully realizing the harms to young people. And by young people, I mean the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds that this is being introduced to. So bans in school where this is being introduced on a tablet format or on a smartphone because it's been instigated by school or by unwittingly by a parent. We need to appreciate and understand the health implications that these devices are doing. And we've spoke about there, your last contributor spoke about this idea that we're doing it automatically. That's exactly what these large companies want. They want you to be addicted to it. They want you to be constantly on it because that means money for them through your scrolling and your tapping. So I don't think it is as simplistic as finding a balance. I think what we need to acknowledge and accept, which thankfully a significant number of parents have written to their MPs about, is that these things are harmful for children.
Okay. Yeah. John, thank you for that. I appreciate it. John McGill there, Regional Lead for Smartphone Free Childhood. You heard from Claire Clements from Positive Pants CIC, which offers mental health support for children and families.
Samaya Mughal at breakfast.
Morning, how you